Slade versus Tobi. Both characters are shrouded in mystery, both criminal masterminds that operate from the shadows and hide behind an orange mask that only reveals one of their eyes. Both rely on their underlings and strategies of manipulation in order to do their bidding for them. Both are the main bad guy for a decent chunk of the show. Both inadvertently aid in the revival of a god of destruction and switch sides and ally with the good guys later. And both were just absolute menaces to society. These two characters get compared to each other almost all the time, so it kinda makes sense. So I figured that it's about time that someone tackled this topic. So in today, we're going to be comparing the character of Slade with the masked man of Naruto. This isn't going to be a versus battle, but I'll be discussing the similarities and differences between those two characters, and exploring why so many people compare them to each other. Now I'm going to be mostly talking about Slade from the Teen Titans, though I might briefly run over the other iterations of his character later in this video. I think the reason that these two characters get compared to each other is pretty clear, since they both serve the same role in their respective verse for a while, down to the orange mask with the one eye hole. Both are this mysterious mastermind that sends his underlings to do his dirty work for him and create conflict with our main guys. Both are excellent at manipulation, both are also notoriously devious and hide their true identity. Of course, Tobi can't keep his identity hidden for long, and we get Obito. You can actually say that Slade is like if Tobi was never unmasked, since due to the fact that we eventually have Obito's identity revealed, we end up learning about his past and his motives, unlike Slade, whose backstory is a total mystery. We don't really get to see his long-term plan or true aspirations really, other than destroying the Titans or manipulating some pawn into becoming his apprentice. In season 4, his aspirations are a lot more clear. He just wants to get his body back, but even then, we don't really get to learn anything about him. So he was just kinda like Tobi in his Akatsuki days, an enigma that's behind a lot of chaos and destruction, as well as a master manipulator that sent several combatants to fight on his behalf. Now, while both characters excelled in manipulation and deception, each of them had a strong grasp over one of these. Slade was the master of manipulation, while Obito was the master of deceit. Though of course, if you consider Obito's genjutsu, then he'd be both the master of manipulation and deceit. I mean, he can literally mind control someone, but I won't really focus on that in this video. Even though Slade did hide behind his mask, he was still using his first name. Hiding his identity wasn't a priority for him. Slade would actually leave clues during the first few appearances in order to bait and toy with Robin. Obito, on the other hand, went through great lengths just to hide his identity. He was able to hide in plain sight in the Akatsuki, playing the part of a fool that no one would take seriously, and he even had another cover behind that one, the whole Madara shtick. Obito's identity is treated like this mystery that needs to be uncovered, but Slade's identity is almost irrelevant compared to the much more urgent issue of stopping him. Slade, however, was a different animal when it came to manipulation, mostly because of how different their styles of manipulation were. Obito had learned how to manipulate people by using the darkness in their heart by Madara. That's how he manipulated Nagato and Sasuke, and by manipulating Nagato, he secured his position as the secret leader of the Akatsuki. All Obito had to do for both was basically wait for life to come crumbling down and then come in during their lowest point and push them towards the path that he paved. Like with Nagato, all he had to do was wait for the Hanzo ambush so that Nagato sees how truly awful the world can be. Then selling Project Tsukinome would be easy. Or just telling Sasuke the truth behind Itachi's assignment, and Sasuke would automatically join him and side against the Leaf. Now, while Obito did steer events in his direction, meddled with the Akatsuki, and left out some pretty crucial details like how he orchestrated the Ninetales incident, he still didn't cause each of these catastrophes and only capitalized off of the results. Slade, on the other hand, was a demon when it came to manipulation, and he employs a lot of psychological warfare. Let's not forget that this man was so devious that he was able to come back from the grave. No, not talking about the Trigon incident, but in the episode Haunted, he came back into Robin's mind and tormented him and gaslit him into believing that he's real and not just a projection in his mind. The amount of trauma that Slade caused was unprecedented. He was literally living rent-free inside Robin's mind. What's interesting about Slade is that he didn't possess any supernatural abilities like the bulk of the cast, yet what made him such a dangerous antagonist to go up against were his mind games, and how he was able to use characters that possessed overpowered abilities as a chess piece, like when he's able to manipulate these forces of nature, literally called thunder and lightning, to wreak havoc under the guise of just having fun, that they were superior beings that didn't have to abide by the rules of human beings. Or how he sent the Hive to attack the Titans just as a test of their villain services. Of course, though, these feats pale in comparison to the ongoing request of recruiting an apprentice from the Titans, usually through a mix of blackmail and exploitation. An example of this is when Slade lured Robin away from the Titans just to infect the rest of the Titans with nanobots, which he could use to destroy them from the inside out, all that just to blackmail Robin to become his apprentice, to do his lackey work that Slade himself is more than capable of doing. And this adds to the mystery of why Slade is doing what he does. This is all part of his psychological torture of Robin, and is why Robin has so much PTSD and can't get over Slade even after he's dead. He even makes Robin fight his own friends under the guise of Slade's apprentice. You see what I mean by mind games? Either you fight your friends, or I'll torment and kill them with the nanobots. Robin has to think like Slade and infect himself with the nanobots to stop Slade. What's interesting is, Slade has the opportunity to kill all the Titans at that point, but he chooses not to, which adds to the idea that his main goal was psychological warfare. And that's not even mentioning Terra, Slade's next pawn or apprentice. Like, the way he orchestrated her downfall is nothing short of diabolical. He knew her history and weakness, that she couldn't fully control her powers, and then gaslit her into thinking that the Titans couldn't help her and that he was her only savior. And when Robin finds out about it and she thinks that Beast Boy told on her, she runs off to Slade, and he takes her in, grooms her, and then he sends her back to the Titans' way as a double agent to gather intel on them. He also shamelessly crashed my man Beast Boy's date just to announce oh, by the way, your crush has been working for me all along and your friends are getting jumped as we speak. All this to cause a rift between her and Beast Boy, so he can push Terra further down the darkness, until he turns her to a terrorist that he can physically control due to the special gear that she's wearing. He was actually so good at manipulation that he managed to pass on his will, his hatred of the Titans, onto Terra, until they both annihilate the Titans one by one, and then her and Slade take over Jump City. Honestly, Slade's manipulation of Terra is closer to how Madara manipulated Obito than how Obito manipulated Nagato. You know the saying, some people just want to watch the world burn? Well, Slade's one of those people. That's kinda why I said that Slade is like if Orange Mask Obito's identity was never revealed. Once his mask breaks off, it's like Obito becomes a different character. We get to see his backstory, his reasons, his motives, something we never got to see with Slade. Even their plans of world domination are very different. Obito's following the Eye of the Moon plan because he truly believes that the Tsukuyomi world is better for humanity as a whole, as there'd be no losers, a world of only victors, all of that. As for Slade, We don't really get any details behind his world domination plans. We just know that he wanted to expand his reign, and that his plans were cut short when his apprentice finally stood up to him and killed him. Slade, as far as we were aware, wasn't being manipulated by someone else. Except for maybe when he's working for Trigon, but that's different. It's not like he was in a position to choose then. Overall, I'd say that they're both terrific villains, with Obito being more of a morally gray villain or a broken character, unlike Slade, who's just evil reincarnate. Obito would be more like if Terra wore a mask and started manipulating someone else, as regardless of how many horrible things both have committed, we get to see both characters from a sympathetic light. And both characters switch sides and join the protagonist after they see through the manipulation. And both also sacrifice themselves to atone for their sins. Slade, however, was always on demon time, like he was a teenager's worst nightmare in both psychological torture and physical abuse. It's honestly shocking how dark Slade's character was, considering that he was in a kid's cartoon. It'd be interesting to see if Naruto could talk no jutsu Slade. But you know, he'd need to know his backstory and whatnot for that to happen. According to the original comics, Deathstroke's vendetta against the Titans began after his son died in his arms after fighting the Titans. So maybe there is something that psychologist Naruto can work with. But I don't know if the 2003 adaptation of Slade shares that backstory. Apparently Deathstroke was the cause of a lot more mayhem, but I'm not here to discuss him. As for his relationship with Terra, FBI, open up! Yeah, I don't want to get into that either. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want me to cover something else, then do let me know in the comments. And other than that, I'll see you next time.